So I knew that when I started this, it definitely wasn't going to be a smooth road. Unfortunately, I'm going for a really, really bumpy bit right now. This is episode 2 of Starting a Streetwear Brand, season 2. So where do I start? This has been a particular nightmare from day one when I got my first screen. So if you remember back at the start of series 1, I was having all kinds of issues with the emulsion, with it breaking away, with pinholes, left, right, center, all breaking around, like the print, like the emulsion just breaking away, and thinking that it was like the tape that was ruining it. It really wasn't. It turns out, after doing lots of research and speaking to quite a few people, that the screens that I was getting exposed from a print shop have been either underexposed or something's just wrong in the process. I've spoken to quite a few people in the industry, and they've confirmed that there's definitely something afoot. The screens I'm using should be lasting for like 2 years, and at the moment they're lasting like 2 days. So something's definitely not right. I reached out to the company, obviously, who've been providing them for me. The last thing I want is any awkwardness, or, I just want a business that I can rely on and get the stuff done. And I just can't, unfortunately, rely on that to be done with these guys now. We tried to work out like a middle ground, like I could provide some emulsion for them to use, because the emulsion that they use is like a bit of an abstract one. Like the guys that I use at Screen Print World, guy Nick there is really, really knowledgeable, and he'd never heard of this emulsion, so he had to look into it, and he reached out to them as well to try and give some pointers, but they're very much set in their way. So that's fine, that's fair enough. They want to carry on doing that obviously, that's I totally appreciate that and respect that, but unfortunately I need a product that's going to last for print runs after print runs, rather than just do a job and then wash it out and move on to the next one. Because if I was doing that and I was just printing on that screen once, it would be fine. Because when it comes to cleaning the screen down, that's when all the emulsion breaks away. And it's called sawtoothing as well, which is something I've learned about now. So all these things you get to learn about, but unfortunately it's a big financial cost to me. But it's life tax. It's one of the things. It's part of the process, I guess. Learning, and it's unfortunate that that they're not necessarily willing to meet me on this one, but it is what it is. Time to get a new supplier. But I see this as a massive upgrade. So I reached out to another few companies, and one in particular is a little bit of a dark horse, but it is perfect for me. These guys do exactly the same as me. So they print stuff again and again and again with the same screens, but they do it on more of an industrial level. So they're doing stuff for like big sheets of metal. And I went around, had a little tour around their warehouse, and it was amazing. It's huge, and they're doing huge prints. Their like exposure unit is like the size of this room. It's insane. I met a guy there, Simon. He's really, really nice dude as well. Got on like house on fire with him, and he knows so much about printing as well, and like the different techniques. And I showed him my screens as well, and he could see immediately what was wrong with them and how they weren't set up right and how they weren't exposed correctly. So it's really reassuring. He really filled me with confidence that they're the guys to use from now on. And it's unfortunate that I've had to go through this, but unforeseens, you just hope that the product will be good, but when it's not, naturally you just have to move on. But it is what it is. Take it on the chin and move on. So it's time to get a new design printed, and this is what I've been working on. The concept is something that I'm sure all creatives will be able to resonate with, and that's when you're going through that burnout stage. It literally is the worst thing, and I've been having that myself recently. It's just the worst. It's you're just constantly grinding and nothing's happening, and it's just the worst thing. And I think as well, like the way that I approached this was just to face it head on and just keep going through. So I made a piece based on that, and I'm glad it did. I feel like it came together and helped me to get through it. I kind of see it as like design therapy in a way. So this is the piece that I came up with when I was going through that creative block, really. So we've got all sorts of little details here symbolizing the burnout. We've got a little petrol can here. We've got that repeat cycle going round and round in circles type feeling. We've got all sorts of little things like these quite intense graphics and like chained up. All sorts of little things, little brain down here, and these cycles, and yeah. So these were picked to sort of push that concept a little bit further. The address, that's the location of the studio here. I quite like that when you get like garments with a bit of a stamp of where it's made, where it's where it's all done. I quite like that, having that little anchor on it. And like the same with the coordinates. That's why I like to feature coordinates as well. So they're down here on the bottom. We've got some timestamps. We've got some references as well to the lockup packs and the elements packs that we used to put this together. Again, I wanted to feature those because they do help with that creative block. When you're picking them out of a pre-made flash sheet, all these nice little graphics, it just makes the process so much easier. And essentially that's why I started the whole digital asset store as well, just because it's really helped me, and hopefully it can help others as well that are struggling with that blank canvas, like starting an essay. Helps you get things going. It does for me anyway. So yes, we've got burnout up here as well, and yeah, so this is the piece that was put together. Also, there's a hoodie of that as well. So the next thing I need to think about is how I'm going to set these up for the screens. So obviously this one is the black shirt with the white text. The white ink is much thicker as well. Black is a little bit more watery, it just goes through a lot easier. One print required as well, so we can just smash those out, no problem. And you can hit the orange straight over that on top of a white garment, no problem. And it'll sit nicely on top of the black ink as well, with a little bit of a translucency, like it's been sprayed on. And I like the idea of that, that'll be fine. So the black shirt with the white text needs a little bit more thought. So on doing some research, if you're gonna do a white underbase, you should just do one underbase. So print flash and then the color on top. You've got to align that perfectly as well. And especially with these little bits of spray paint, that's gonna be a fucking nightmare. So I think although I was trying to make my life easier, I think I'm caught in a web of my own making here. What I could do is just do a print flash print with the white and then hammer it with the orange and give that a couple of layers. Maybe a print flash print with the orange, and I may even need to go up to 3 with that. I don't know, but there's only one way to try that out, and that's to do some print runs. So I'm gonna get a hoodie, I'm gonna put some orange over the white that I know has been print flash print. It's probably going to be a really bad print, so don't pay too much attention to it, because obviously it's just a trash one that I started with. But it'll be interesting to see how orange goes on top of the white when I'm really trying to do a nice print, and how orange goes onto it as well when I'm not really giving it much attention and just like throwing it on. So I can get a little bit of an idea of how that trashiness can look as well, if I intentionally make it look a bit trashy and not too overbaked and perfect. So essentially this might be a bit of a tricky one, but I'm all for embracing that, and if I struggle, I'll fix it, and that's the name of the game, it would seem, with this. So let's get the sample out and start doing some tests. So based on that test, I think it's going to be all right, and that's a very important word, think, because I don't know until I really try it with the proper setup. So the way that the orange goes down on the white is definitely much nicer. If I was doing something like a real sharp vector graphic, I would 100% be going down on a white underbase. But because I'm doing like a trashy spray paint effect, I think it'll be all right to go straight onto the fabric and straight on without an underbase. It just feels like it would actually be better suited as well as a route. So I'm going to proceed with that, and we'll see how we get on. Nick at Screen Print World also suggested that I should get some better screens as well. So I've got these 62T mesh count ones. Before I was using 34T, they came from that previous company I was using. It was okay for the designs that I was doing. I got quite lucky with that because my style of design was quite heavy then, like big bold print. Whereas because I'm doing a lot more of an intricate detailed design now, I need to go up in mesh count so I can get those real fine details down. So yeah, so that is another silver lining to this cloud. And also I'm going to try out this new company as well, which I'm really looking forward to doing as well. So I'm going to get these screens set up. I'm going to get the artwork over to them. They're going to expose them. And hopefully now we can crack on without having to get screens re-exposed every other couple of days. But it's all part of the learning curve, hey? So if you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe to be notified when the next one drops. Click like as well, really appreciate that. And see you guys in the next video where we're gonna get these new screens exposed with a new company and we're gonna see what the difference is. So thanks a lot for tuning in. See you next time.